Grace and peace. This is Apostle Cheryl L. Richardson. Welcome to Judah's Roar Domestic Violence Awareness Initiative YouTube channel. Before we get started, I'll give you a couple of seconds. Check down here for the subscribe button and also for other ways that you can partner with us. Click subscribe and then make sure that you click on that bell for notifications, and you can schedule notifications. That way you'll be notified every single time we upload a new video. We upload a new video every Sunday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. Okay, let's get started. This video, we're going to be talking about how to handle gaslighting. Now, if you've not watched our video, Gaslighting 101, check back and view that as well. This video will focus on how to handle it. There are several things that you can do that can help mitigate, help minimize the damage that is done to you. Gaslighting is a form of psychological abuse. The purpose of it is to cause the victim or the target to question their own opinions, their own decisions, their own perceptions, and even their own sanity. All right. Over time, it can trigger depression and great anxiety. And it can be very, very debilitating for the target. So, how do you handle it? Number one, recognize it as gaslighting, no matter who is doing it. You know, we have a tendency to make excuses for those that we care about, that are close to us. And oftentimes we don't want to acknowledge the behaviors that they're actively engaged in. So it's important that we not be in denial about that and to just be honest with ourselves. If it's gaslighting, it's gaslighting. And again, refer back to the first video, Gaslighting 101, and that will help you to understand some of the phrases and some of the tactics that are used by gaslighters. So recognize it as gaslighting, no matter who is doing it. And remember that gaslighting can occur in an intimate partner relationship. It can happen husband to wife, wife to husband, boyfriend to girlfriend, girlfriend to boyfriend. It can happen within a family system. It can happen parent to child. It can happen in the workplace. Gaslighting can occur on a grander scale by governments, rulers, presidents. Some have been known to gaslight entire nations and communities. Ministry leaders have been known to gaslight entire congregations and communities, okay? And so it can occur in any relationship. Does their troubling behavior or words make you doubt yourself? Do they edify you? You know, when they're talking to you about something that you're dealing with or a decision that you have to make, does it make you feel competent and confident that you will make the right choice for yourself? Or do they cause you to question your ability to make a rational decision? Does it undermine your confidence? Especially if you were someone who once had tons of confidence. Do you find yourself feeling less confident? Increased anxiety, increased helplessness regarding the decisions that you have to make in your life. So one way that you can tell is if you're interacting with someone and at the end of that interaction, you are convinced that you just can't do it. You're convinced that you don't know what you're doing, that you're a hot mess, and that you are incapable of making a sound decision without conferring with them. That's a huge red flag. So, does their troubling behavior or words happen consistently? Is this a consistent pattern in your relationship with them? That when you're discussing challenges or you're discussing just life in general, you come away feeling ill prepared, ill equipped to deal with life. So this is how you can tell the gaslighting is occurring. The person who's engaging in this behavior has an almost insatiable need for power and control. And in this instance, over you. They have a desire to control you completely. And they're not comfortable with leaving anything to your best judgment. And all their efforts are devoted to ensuring that you feel incapable of doing so. All right? So, number one, recognize that it's gaslighting. Number two, take note. Actual notes. Write it down. put it in the notes app on your phone or something. But when instances occur that leave you reeling and feeling incompetent, um, and afraid and helpless and useless, write down exactly what happened. Write it down. What you said, what they said, where you were, what occurred, how they responded, how you responded. Write it down as close to verbatim as you can, as close to word for word as you can. Why? Because this will help you going forward to come back to something concrete when they tell you it didn't happen. If you record it right after it happens, with all of the details, where you were, the date, the time, and everything, when they tell you it didn't happen, or that you imagined it, or they didn't say that, you can go back to your notes and reassure yourself this is exactly what happened because I wrote it down. Now, you don't necessarily have to share that with them. This is so that you can keep a grip on your own mental health and your own sanity. You're not having to decide in real time, right at that moment, what to do about it. But you need to be able to look back, certainly if you're in a domestic violence situation and you don't feel ready to exit. You need to be able to look back and see what actions, what behaviors, what interactions confirm your decision to stay or to leave. Okay. Number three, utilize your support system. Now, resist the urge to isolate from your support system. Someone who's engaging in gaslighting will really want to undermine that. They won't want you to have a support system or a cheering section or anyone telling you that you're awesome and amazing and capable of making decisions in your own life. They absolutely are allergic to that. They don't want that to happen. So resist the urge, because what gaslighting will do is it will cause you as the victim to desire to withdraw from your support system. And that's a trick. That's a trick. So resist the urge to withdraw from your support system. Okay. Even if you have to engage with them secretly. All right. Next thing, get into some professional counseling. Get into counseling with someone who understands coercive control or domestic violence. Okay. That may not be your pastor who loves you to pieces and wishes you well, but is not a skilled clinician. They are not a skilled therapist. Okay. They have a completely different framework. It needs to be someone who understands coercive control. And I will go so far as to say is they don't have to be of your same faith, because often what happens within ministry settings is that scripture is egregiously misappropriated and people are advised to do things that put them in greater danger. So, so if you have a medical issue, you're not looking for a doctor of your faith necessarily, are you? Or are you looking for someone who is skilled at what they're doing? Correct? Right? It should be no different for this. It should be no different regarding your mental health. So you want to deal with someone who is seasoned and skilled in addressing the issues that often accompany domestic violence, which is the coercive control, what that looks like, because they will be able to undergird you and to edify you and to encourage you regarding your ability to navigate life successfully. Okay. A skilled clinician will be able to recognize when you share with them your story, the instances in which gaslighting is being employed. And they won't tell you, well, maybe you took that too seriously, or maybe they didn't mean it. Okay. That's important. Get into counseling. One of the things that you'll want to consider too is, should your relationship, no matter what it is, should your interaction with the gaslighter continue? Now, this is something that it may take you a little bit of time to to decide. But if you're in counseling, especially, your therapist, your counselor will be able to help you to identify where a healthy boundary may be for you in terms of that relationship. In some instances, the best thing is to cut it off altogether. It depends on how much it's costing you. Okay. You have to determine how much you're willing to pay to continue to engage with a gaslighter. People who engage in this behavior have a deep seated need to control other humans. In this particular instance, you would be the human that they want to control. That will only change if they A, acknowledge that that's what they're doing, and number two, they're willing to stop it. Most times they are not. Most times they're not. And so you want to be able to accept that and determine how much interaction is okay. And at what point does it become unhealthy to me? If you're already starting to feel a little crazy and incompetent, then it's already costing you. Okay. And so you really want to take that into consideration, what it's already cost you. Okay. Here's another thing: set boundaries. What does that mean? Well, decide how much interacting you're going to do. There are people that I know that are skilled gaslighters. There are some I won't talk to at all. It doesn't matter what's going on. There's no conversation that I desire to have with them because I'm not going to let them roll over me. And I don't feel like engaging in the energy that it would take to prevent it. So it's easier just not to engage. So I just don't engage. You don't have to make a public service announcement. Just ease out of it. Okay. You don't have to try to get closure. You can't get closure with an abuser. You can't get closure with a gaslighter. They're not interested in closing, they're interested in controlling you. Okay. So set boundaries. Limit your interactions with anyone who elicits an unhealthy response from you, either during that conversation or after that conversation. You feel horrible. You need to not interact with them as much. Okay. Um, and then don't get pulled into debates. There are no number of facts. There is no amount of recording of instances that you can share with a bona fide gaslighter that's going to make any difference. They will debate and argue with you about minutia, anything that they feel is inaccurate, anything that you didn't quote exactly. Okay, so don't even, do not debate, don't argue, don't try to convince, don't try to convey, don't try to get them to understand. Don't do it. That's a trap. Resist the urge to get into a debate with a gaslighter. Those who are skilled at psychological abuse, um, they're pros, and then you will really feel out of balance and on the verge of insanity when you get finished debating and they get finished trashing everything that you've shared with them in a desire to repair or to heal the relationship. That's not what they're interested in. They want control. So distancing yourself is something that should be seriously considered permanently if necessary. There are one or two people in my life that I decided years ago I will absolutely never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, engage with them again. Period. Don't talk to me about them. Don't bring them up. Don't tell me their goldfish died. It matters not. No, no. And you know what? It's very liberating because you don't have this constant diet of negativity and polarization and just, you know, no. So I don't. And I feel good about it. Okay. I've learned to challenge myself. I've learned to challenge myself to make an honest and accurate assessment of just how much of me I can trust to anyone that I'm interacting with. That's my responsibility. That's something I had to learn, as opposed to just being, wide open and loving people and just not even considering that some of them may be critters. Okay. So learn the hard way, but learn for sure. It's my responsibility. That's what I've learned, to make an accurate assessment. And if I allow someone to get close to me and it turns out it wasn't a good choice, I need to acknowledge that. I need to acknowledge that I either missed something or looked directly at it and made an excuse for it. I need to identify when is the first time that behavior, that type of interaction surfaced in that relationship, And what did I tell myself to make it okay to leave myself in harm's way? It's not enough to be able to look back and say, okay, that was bad. You wanted to figure out, how did I get there? What lie, I call it the big lie, what lie did I tell myself to make it okay to stay in an unsafe situation, whether it was physical or whether it was emotional? So that's my responsibility. And it's how you retain your own personal power, right? You don't make other people responsible for keeping you safe and keeping you healthy. That's your responsibility, beloved. And you are able to handle that. You are. You may need some support. We all do. I have an amazing support system. Okay. And I utilize them whenever I need to. Okay. So it's okay to need support. So, number one, recognize that it's gaslighting. Make sure you take notes. Understand that you have value, and understand that you need to set boundaries. Okay? We've been talking about how to handle gaslighting. This is Apostle Cheryl L. Richardson with Do This Word Domestic Violence Awareness Initiative. Don't forget to check down in the description box for ways that you can partner with us to raise awareness about domestic violence. It has been declared a global pandemic by the United Nations back in 2017. And so it's very, very pervasive, but there are many, many things that you can do to help. Blessings to you.